Welcome everybody to my workshop on how to move mountains for peanuts, the easiest, low-cost promotional strategies guaranteed to work fast. And today I'm going to show you what I believe to be the simplest, fastest working, mostly free ways to get publicity and advance your cause. So let's get started here. So what you're going to learn today is the fastest way to get on podcast, the strangest secret that practically drives people to your free gift, the 3-step formula for writing press releases that will get you published, the 5 things all joint venture partners need to work with you, and you're going to get access to a treasure trove of marketing strategies for just a tiny amount of money. This is your simple pathway to being successful. But first, let's figure out who this is for and if it's a fit for you today. So this is for you if you need to make more money, you need to get more lead flow, you want more clients, but in the past not much seemed to work, and you may have tried writing blogs, sending out press releases, posting on social media endlessly, and then what? Nothing happens. For heaven's sakes, that's happened to all of us. So after all that busy work, crickets, silence. And how do we feel when all that effort leads to no results? Well, I'll tell you how I feel. Frustrated, angry, hopeless. I've felt like giving up too. So all this happens when you try and nothing really happens. So let's change that, okay? So here's what you can do to get the attention that you need without spending a small fortune. And I'm going to talk about 28 different low-cost strategies that you can use, and I will show you many of them before this presentation is over. But today, we're going to dive deep into the 3 particular strategies that I have used over and over again to get publicity and to get my products in front of people. So why should you listen to me? Well, I built my first company from $0 to $10 million with no investment at all. Sold that company to Sage PLC for 8 figures. I partnered with Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes, and we built Business Breakthroughs International together, and we took that to almost $30 million in revenue. I wrote 2 best-selling business books. One is called The Invisible Organization. The other is called Power Tribes. And I'm also a software publisher. I have several productivity tools, particularly for coaches out there right now. And I have an active coaching and consulting practice. I help business owners make progress fast. And much of what I show people in my own practice is the stuff I'm going to share with you today. So is it okay if I show you something amazing? And I do. I really want to. So I'm about to share with you the exact strategies I used when I started my first and most successful company. Nothing you will see today is either hard or complicated, but it does require some time and effort. Now, you may not get results immediately. In fact, I can almost promise that you won't. But the results will come if you are persistent. And the real question here is, are you willing to roll up your sleeves and get to work? And I hope the answer was yes, because I'm going to show you exactly what to do. So these are the strategies that I personally have used over and over again, both in my own company and in Tony Robbins' company, to generate publicity and generate lots and lots of new eyeballs for my products, my services, and in fact, my coaching business. So I started Time Slips, as I said earlier, with $5,000. And I obviously didn't have a lot of money to spend on advertising, so I had to find a way to promote. I tried many things, but quickly discovered actually PR and one other strategy, which I'm going to share with you in a second, was the best. It took a while to work, but boy, when it worked, it was gangbusters. So the problem is that it can be frustrating because when you start, nothing happens for a little while. But if you're persistent, consistent, persistent, and careful with your follow-up, you will see stuff happen over time that will shock and amaze you, because ultimately you didn't have to pay anything or much at all to get the type of publicity that you're about to. But if you do this consistently, it's going to generate a wave of attention. Here's the interesting thing. Some of the efforts you start now may not take effect for 4, 6, or 8 weeks. If you keep starting things, what's interesting is that it's going to continue even after the first exposure. Now, it's going to be your job to sustain this forward motion. All you have to do is work on it a little bit every day. So if you're willing to do some focused work, you're in the right place, We're going to have some fun today, and you're going to learn something, I promise. Okay, so I'm going to share with you right now the one thing that I think is the number one strategy for getting in front of people, and it's completely free. It's called podcast guesting. This is the most powerful way to get PR quickly, and all you need to do is be prepared with a great story, a free giveaway, and an offer. So you got to have a giveaway for the audience for two reasons. One, because you can promise the giveaway up front, and then people will stay listening to the show because they want to access the free giveaway, which you don't talk about until later in the show. The other thing is that you're doing all of this for one reason. You're doing it because you want to generate sales. So if you start out with that objective and you focus everything you do in your podcast guesting strategy, that's what's going to happen. The other thing I like to do is invite participation. Even as a guest, I could ask people to go to my webpage, to download the free giveaway, to do all the things that I would love to see them do so that I can connect with them after the show. The other thing I want to do always is show gratitude to the host of the podcast for inviting me on and sharing his platform with me. Many people don't know this, but every single time a guest shows up on a podcast, it's likely that it costs the podcast host money to produce that episode. So they're actually spending upwards of $100 per episode just to have you on for free. Well, why would they do that? Well, because they believe that you can help them attract more listeners, which in turn grows their podcast. That's part of why you must promote your show, and you must promise to do it, and then you must follow through. Because if you do, that promotion will be very appreciated by your host and maybe even get you invited back. But really what it comes down to in being a podcast guest is telling a great story. So I'm going to show you in a minute how to craft your own story so it sells you and your offer. Now, let's go back to when you were struggling, feeling lost, hopeless, and broke, because that's where many of your listeners are right now. And what we want to do first is we want to connect directly with them so that we're on the same page. My friend Dove calls this entering the conversation already going on inside their mind when you make that first connection. So that's the first thing to do. The second thing is you need to make sure that you capture their attention. Now, capturing their attention isn't the same as reading a bio. In fact, when you saw me talk about who I am on that one slide before, it's pretty boring, really. It's like, yeah, I did this, I did this, I did this. That's not getting attention. All that's really doing is showing you that I have enough credibility to be showing you these techniques today. But you want to create a story. You want to transport people from where they are to the promised land. That's what I call what it is you're trying to deliver. So promised land could be more sales, could be more publicity. It could be promoting their cause. And that's what you're going to help them do by being a podcast guest. So you're going to show them how you did it. You're going to provide some help. And you're going to end on a high note. And that high note is usually something free that you're going to give away that's valuable. I use something, and it's called the Hero's Journey Story Formula. And I believe you need to use it too. The reason is because it's a time-proven emotional strategy. It's not manipulation. It's the same strategy used by major motion picture producers to keep you in the movie and make it enjoyable for you. This is the link that you can go to, and this link will take you directly to a free overview of how to create your hero's journey story format. So I'll leave this on the screen for just another second. You could do a screenshot if you like. But go here and check out what this guy has. It's really kind of cool. Now, this is what I call the power of your free giveaway. And by the way, this is the free giveaway I have for you for attending today. So here's what your free giveaway must do if it's going to be successful. It can't just be something you slap together. It needs to be really well designed. It needs to be very professional. It needs to be highly detailed and informative. And here's the most important part. You can't just share information. That is really kind of missing the boat, because information by itself really doesn't do anything. As they say, words don't teach, action teaches. So you have to help people become actionable. And you need to make sure that whatever it is you share generates real results for your reader. Of course, it's a giveaway, so it's going to be free. My suggestion is that after you give away your free giveaway, you follow up with an email series. Now, when I say professionally written, you're going to get an email series after you download the free giveaway that I'm going to share with you in a few minutes. And by the way, like everything else, you can unsubscribe if you don't like it, but you likely won't because it expands on what's inside the free giveaway. It's educational. So it's worthwhile to stay subscribed, and that's what I want your clients or your prospects to think too. But the ideal part of this is that it must lead your readers to the next step. And the next step for you is going from something free to something paid. And it doesn't have to be much money at all, but you need to engage people with something paid. So here is what you do when you want to get on a podcast. You need to send a pitch letter to a potential host, podcast host. So here's the idea of the pitch letter. You're going to solicit show hosts to want to interview you. Now, it's not really smart to just send out a bunch of these things and not follow up. Because it's a proven formula, I'm telling you that the follow-up is part of the formula. You need to show the value of your appearance and your giveaway to their listeners. Now, you got to make it easy to set up a call and screen you. In many cases, podcast hosts want to talk to you before they agree to have you on the show. So include a calendar link in your solicitation email. Have a clear and complimentary headshot. What that means is don't take a picture from your vacation album. Do something somewhat professional, even if it's a deliberate headshot in front of a clean wall, nicely lit. That's good enough. But it needs to be clean, clear, and showing you off in a good light. Have a bio. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of an inside tip here. I have a bio that I send to people, and it has 50, 125, and 250 words in my bio. And the reason is because some people want only 50 words. Some people want the full bio. When I interview guests, I want their full bio. In fact, I usually want more than they're offering. But once you do this, and once you get on the show, you need to follow up with your host. So you got to thank them for featuring you, and you got to explain to them that it was really valuable and important. Because don't forget, by the way, your podcast host is a leader, and that person might become a valuable connection to you later. So what you want to do by thanking them is make sure that they have what they need to publish your episode. You also want to remind them that you're going to actively promote your episode. And when you do that, you're showing the host that you're willing to invest time and maybe even a little money to make sure that the show goes out. By the way, it doesn't take much money. I invest between $5 and $10 every time I'm a guest and promote my show that I was a guest on, not the show I manage or that I run, but the show I'm a guest on. Ask the show if they need some help with your superpower. So, for example, if it turns out that I'm talking to somebody and in the course of the conversation, I find out that they're looking to build a coaching organization, I simply say, by the way, I've done that several times before. I'd be happy to help you. And then find out if they'd like to have a separate conversation about how to build a coaching organization, or how to build a certification tribe called My Power Tribes, or how to do many of the things that you know how to do that your host may be in need of in terms of help. So yes, it's a backdoor sales strategy, and it doesn't always work, but when it does, it's incredibly powerful. Here's why. They just spent the last half hour to an hour getting to know you. Well, guess what? People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And if you just spent a whole podcast interview with your host, I have a feeling you're a lot closer to know, like, and trust than you were before. That's why I say that. Also, ask if they know any other podcast hosts that would be interested in having you on their show. And in many cases, what I do before I go on a show is I look at my host's list of published podcast episodes, and I find out, for example, who they featured, and maybe if I want an introduction, I could do that too. So what I'm showing you are some simple ways to make connections very quickly and effortlessly and friction-free. You're not cold calling anymore. You're going in with a recommendation. That's super powerful. Now that you did this, now that you completed the cycle, Do it over and over again. Congratulations, you did it. Review your process, smooth it out, make it better. Get more interviews by using directories. Now, I'm going to share with you several of the directories that I found to be incredibly powerful, and they're very low cost or free, which you can get on. And by the way, all that information is in the free guide that I'm going to provide for you. The other thing that I would do is I would start setting up some automation for applying for interviews. And what this really means is just create some form letters. I use Google templates in my Gmail, and it works really, really well. Like, hey, Bob, hey, blank, I listened to your show. It was great. And I'm going to share with you exactly what to say in a minute. But these are fantastic productivity enhancement systems. That's what Google templates are about. So, wrapping up on podcast guesting, here it is. Experience builds skill and confidence. The more interviews you do, the better you will be at public speaking. Test offers as you interview. You could change your free giveaway from show to show. You could make a different offer every time. Create audience response letters. There are going to be people who reach out to you after your appearance and say, hey, Bill, I heard you on Mitch's show, and I was really impressed. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I'm doing. Well, make sure that you have enough boilerplate responses that you can easily customize for every person that reaches out to you. And don't forget the purpose. Remember, as I said earlier, the purpose is to sell more of your products and services and make more money. Yay! So here's the second strategy. This one is very simple, but also a little bit cryptic and very powerful. The goal of your press release is to increase your visibility, generate publicity, define your strategy, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and establish your brand. Many people don't know you. Most people don't know you. Well, that's what press releases are designed to solve. I would do this before spending any money on advertising because I get to see what works in the public arena before I have to pay to get that same exposure. This way you can also test multiple sales offers using your press releases at the same time. The key to create a perfect press release is to use a specific formula. Don't ever pitch anything. If you do, your release simply won't get published. It needs to be or sound like news. If you do this correctly, those who read your press release will want to write more about you, interview you, get more information for their audience so they can share your story. And again, this is not hard. In fact, writing a press release comes down to a format and 3 key points, and you're going to see that in a minute. Have a detailed bio on your website and include a link to your bio right in your release. Provide multiple ways to have a reporter contact you. And what I mean by that is put your Twitter handle, put your email address, put your website, and if you have any other way, maybe your Facebook page, let people know they can reach out any way they're comfortable to get a hold of you. Now, I don't expect you to read all this right now. The reason I'm showing it to you is because this is a process. All of this is included in what you're about to get for free. So don't write it down or copy it. If you want, you can take a screenshot. But the most important thing here is to understand that there is a process. This comes from tried and true methodologies that I have created and tested. Being an electrical engineer in my education, I have always been a systems thinker. So when I want something to work, I create a system and then I refine it and perfect it. And this is a press release checklist that you will be able to use. Now, before you send your first press release, make sure to set your goals carefully. You want to have buyers or people who can reach your buyers read your story. Therefore, you want to get your press release placed in the right publications. And just to be clear, you don't have to do this online or offline. You could do both. Know who your buyers are, write your release to appeal directly to them. Target news sites who cater to your demographic, and do your research on the writers you are reaching out to so you can follow up after sending the release. Now, I'm going to show you the perfect press release format, but again, you're going to get this for free. So here's the way it typically looks. You start out with the words for immediate release, date, your name, your organization, and your phone number and your email. Then the title. The title needs to be news-oriented. Then a city, state, company name, and you're announcing a new product or new service, and you say, today we are announcing the release of Client Folio version 1.0, and then quotes. Quotes are very powerful because they give you credibility. So that's why you want to have that in there. And then feature and benefits of the products and services. Don't forget the benefits part. Benefit or feature number 1, benefit or feature number 2, benefit or feature number 3, and then product, service, available when, and then for more information. Very simple, right? Then at the bottom of the press release about you, and then, of course, the next step is to start circulating among those who are responsible for posting it in places where the press releases typically are posted. And there are directories and companies that have a service that for as little as $19, they'll do it for you. Now, you can do it for free, but they won't reach as many people, and for a very low amount of money, it's probably worth it. The following outlets will publish your press releases free as long as it's formatted carefully. So let me be clear here. If it's not formatted carefully, they will look at the format first, no matter what it says, and reject it. So here's a summary about press releases. Short and to the point works best. Craft an exciting headline. New, unique, rare, special. All these things help a lot. Add a small photo of yourself. Again, you're a real human being. Make sure people know that. Add your company logo. Again, a visual indicator that you're professional. Multiple ways to contact you so that everyone can reach out to you any way they want. And you can use different services to publish your release, and some of them simultaneously. So do a little research, but once you get the free guide and go through it. Here's one of my favorite strategies. It's called joint ventures. And I use joint ventures constantly. I use them to promote this product and many of my other products as well. And I'm going to share with you some of the inside tricks and techniques that I use to make sure my joint ventures are successful. So here are the big benefits of joint ventures. Number 1, even if you don't sell anything, they build market presence. They create whole new sales channels very rapidly. They allow you to access buyers at no upfront cost, but you do share the revenue when you sell something. And I think that's entirely fair. Because, for example, imagine paying $1,000 to run an ad and nothing happens. Well, imagine running that ad for free and then sharing the revenue only if the ad works. That's kind of a better idea, don't you think? And you get to keep recurring revenue. So here's the idea. You could share revenue from the first sale, and you can keep all the recurring revenue after the first sale is over. And let me give you a tip here. If you share that recurring revenue with your joint venture partner, guess what? They're going to want to do more joint ventures with you. So clearly, the reason to do this is to build your list and build your client base, because this is one of the cheapest, most successful, most powerful ways to do it at a super low cost. Now, I'll share a story with you. When I spent my first year in business, I started out by researching my perfect JV partners, and I identified 20 candidates. Some were big companies like Lotus Development Corporation, although you probably never heard of them, and several were in adjunct markets. And what I mean by adjacent markets is they were in legal technology, they were in accounting software like general ledgers and stuff. Those were all what I call adjacent markets to my core market, which at the time was marketing, time and billing, accounting software. Now, I learned through trial and error what was required to do this. So what is it that we need to have a successful joint venture? And here's what I learned. There are 2 types of joint ventures. One is a list swap. Simply, I'll mail your offer to my list and you mail my offer to yours. Very simple. This works really well, and if the list size is about even, it's a great exchange. This way you don't have to pay anything. The other thing is, instead, you can create an affiliate payment system where we pay a percentage of the sale. So I'll give you an example. If you were to become an affiliate for me offering profit stacking secrets, you would get 50% of the revenue generated by sharing my offer with your list. And by the way, we do this all the time. When I did a lot of both, the best ones were the swap. And here's why. As my list grew bigger and bigger, I always knew I would make sales, And because I had been doing this a while, I really knew how to convert people on a joint venture offer. So for me, the best thing to do would be to find people who had an adjacent market of mine, do a swap, and make a lot of money. And by the way, I would make money for my partner too. The swap works because we both put extra effort into promoting the other's products. Again, it goes back to reciprocity. If you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Now, this is true. One joint venture over several years was worth about $500,000 to my little software company. And you know what? It could have kept going and going and going, but the company that I did the joint venture was sold to another company, and they stopped all joint ventures. But up until that point, it was fantastic. And here's a side benefit. I built an incredible friendship with the president and CEO of that company. And for many, many years thereafter, we attended social gatherings together. We would find each other at business events and hang out. These joint ventures are amazing in what they could do for you, your company, and your life. So here's what you need to create a great joint venture. You need, of course, a high-quality product that you will stand behind. And of course, it needs to help people provide a specific benefit. The other thing you need is a pricing and commission model, and you need all of the necessary promotional letters, ads, graphics that they can use to promote you. Now, the capacity to show up on a webinar or a live video and get others excited about what you are doing is a big plus. So if your joint venture partner is going to run a webinar and you want to be on that webinar to run it live and then answer questions, you are doing a big solid for your partner, and you'll sell more. You also need to have the time to set up your calls, tell your story, and create some synergies. The web infrastructure to conduct business, including commission tracking, product delivery, and follow-up and follow-through, all these things are what you need. And by the way, once you start doing it, maybe you start doing 1 a month, 2 a month, 3 a month, pretty soon you're going to want to find a JV manager, someone you could bring on board part-time and train, or someone who has a lot of experience and connections and just make it happen that way too. Now, here, if you're on your own and you don't have a JV manager, here's how to find them. It's not hard. There are several groups that work to promote their members and help set up joint ventures. One of them is called JVIC. Another one is called the JV Network. Another one is JVology. I'm members of all of these, and I find that they're valuable and useful time after time. Another very big one I just joined is called the Strategic Alliance Summit. Now, you're going to get some information about how to do this one with the free download, and even you're going to get some directory information so you can go right to some of these partners and apply right away. The other thing is, of course, is that if you have a list of business community members who are in your field and who are in what I call adjacent markets, not competitive markets, then you might reach out directly and say, hey, I got a great offer. I think your market may be interested. Let's see if we can find a way to co-promote. Of course, if you're doing something more locally, then use meetup groups, use networking groups. Again, I used to do this all the time, and I still do on occasion. So here's how you set up your joint venture. Obviously, you need to make sure you have a product that sells. And let me be clear about this. I'm going to go back one bullet point here. How do you know, or how do you find out if you have a product that sells? Well, try and sell it. Do several joint ventures. Do webinars. Find out if the information you're providing is valuable and people want it and want to buy it. If you're not getting many sales on a webinar or something, or a class that you run similar to this, then your offer is not good or the product is not good. Now, I've run this webinar now many times, and I know for certain within a small percentage range how many people will click the buy button at the end. And what I've done is I've set it up so that now when I go to a joint venture partner, I come with statistics. So I said, you should be able to generate 50 to 75 cents, $3 to $5, whatever the number might be, per click or per sign up for the free download. This is very powerful information. This is how you convince a joint venture partner to go forward with you. Now, the last thing you want is for a partner to promote your product and fail. That's why I say it's so important to know this information and test it. So you got to make sure that there's a generous commission for your partner. This is so important because once you do this, you are going to find that more and more people want to promote you. And as mentioned, all the tech you need to make your job easy needs to be set up in advance. You're going to see a lot more information about that as you go deeper into the system through my work and through some of the partners that I'm recommending. So here's now how to get exactly what we've been talking about. Everything we discussed today is covered in full detail inside this very beautiful, wonderfully produced free guide. And you can get it by going to ProfitStackingSecrets.com. That's ProfitStackingSecrets.com. But that's just the start of what I have for you today. If you like these 3 strategies, you're going to love the entire process called Profit Stacking Secrets itself. Inside are 28 different marketing strategies with the pathways you need to use them all. Now, you're going to learn how to create coaching programs, build your own podcast, start a summit, run a challenge. We also cover advertising and promotion as well. In fact, these are all the topics inside the Profit Stacking Secrets book. Clearly, if you use 2, 3, or 4 of these alone, it's not only going to pay back the tiny amount that you pay for this, but it's going to make a big difference in 2 ways. It's going to make you more money, but here's the best part. It's going to give you a whole lot more experience in promoting, running, and selling your own company. So here's the companion 60-day course that I have chosen to include for free when you upgrade to the Profit Stacking Secrets program today. Now, every other day you are going to get an email with a long-form explanation of the marketing strategy discussed that day in the Profit Stacking Secrets book. And these are not simple, cute little emails. These are content-rich. Some of them are so long, I actually had to break them up into 2 emails because they're so detailed that I want you to have everything I know about each of these strategies. These strategies are powerful and can be implemented easily at first and then built upon. My goal is not to teach you everything, it's to get you started so you can get in the game and start learning yourself. Every single strategy is designed to make you money. I mean, that's the only really reason you're doing this. This is true profit stacking, and that's why as you stack each of these marketing topics one on top of the other, as you run each technique to the end, you're going to learn a lot and you're going to be stacking profits. So here's what I have for you today. Just for attending, you're going to get the valuable guide called 3 Simple Ways to Get Free Publicity and Exposure for Your Brand, yourself, and your company. And that's my gift to you. You're getting that free. But if you step up to the paid guide, you get all 28 strategies, which is normally $60. But today you're going to get it for just $27. And the assessment and tracking spreadsheet. Now, this is very key and important. Normally it's $100, but you could add that on for just $20 more. And this is not just a little spreadsheet. This is a very powerful cockpit that you can use to track all of your activity, both your financial results and including making sure that you collect the information you need before you run any of the strategies. And by the way, the entire class that's delivered through email, normally we charge $497 for that. And on this webinar, we've decided to include it free with your purchase. So here's what you're going to get. You're going to get the Profit Stacking Secrets book that includes all 28 strategies. That's normally $59.95. Today, for you, $27. Now, I highly recommend you add the assessment and the dashboard tracking spreadsheet, which is normally $100. Today, just $20. Now, you can get the entire class that's delivered through email, normally $500 today on this webinar, only today for free, simply by making your purchase. All of this for just $47. And by the way, the price is going up very quickly, so I want you to take action now. There is a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're not happy with your purchase, all you have to do is let me know and you get your money back. Here's why you want to do this. We both know that marketing is all about what works, not why, but what. So let's shortcut all your marketing by starting with what worked. Then we could dive deeper into each strategy, try them out and learn. You can do this. I don't care if you're a beginner. I'm going to hold your hand and take you through step by step. And if you can follow some simple directions and take some small actions, you will have no trouble getting results. And here's the interesting thing. We've set this up for those people who can make a decision quickly because the price actually goes up in the next 45 minutes. So why not take advantage of this? This is really powerful, and the price is so low it's affordable by just about everyone. Now, we know some people won't take action, and that's unfortunate because this is what happens if you don't take advantage of my offer, and this is what happens if you do. So be smart, take action, take a low-cost, risk-free action, and do something positive for yourself. Learn from someone who's very experienced, who's done all of these things over and over again, and will teach you all the shortcuts to make sure you're successful. Go to ProfitStackingSecrets.com to receive your free guide, and be smart and go forward and pay a tiny amount of money and get the upgrade. Now, I wanted to find out if anybody has any questions, and of course this is a recorded webinar, so I can't ask you. So I'm going to share some of the questions that other people have asked me on other webinars, and hopefully I cover most of what it is that you want. So here was the first question that came up a lot. The first question is, how long should it take to get my first guest appearance? So conservatively speaking, it's going to take a couple of weeks, maybe even 30 days, because there's some prep work you need to do first. You're going to make sure you have a good bio, a good photo. You're going to make sure you need to create your hero's journey introduction and story. That's very important. And you're going to need to start reaching out to folks. And it'll be a little while before people say yes right away. So let's budget 30 days. It can happen much faster, but it probably won't take longer than 30 days if you do your prep work. So that's really a very important part. The second question I get a lot is it okay to have my bio on the press release itself or just a link to it? There's a reason why I suggest just a link to it. And here's the reason. The reason why is because people who screen press releases are looking at the length of the press release. And if it's too long, they won't read it. So what we do is we might have your title, or one sentence about who you are, but a link to a deeper bio that's on your website. That is what I have found over and over again that works best. So I suggest you do that too. Here's the next question. What do I do if I send out a press release and nothing happens? I'm sorry to say it's probably going to be likely that nothing happens the very first time you send out a press release. The idea is to continuously focus on this strategy, create several press releases, and send them out once a week. Now, nothing actually is magic. It all basically comes down to being able to do a little bit of work and then follow up. So if you're not following up, your results will suffer. But if you do follow up, you'll find that you get results faster. Here's another question. What is the best time of day to send press releases? Now, this is an interesting question because time of day actually matters. And what we have found that Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 4 o'clock or so, 3 to 5 p.m., work well. Here's why. Writers are on deadline, and they're looking for information. They're looking for stories to pitch so they could sell those stories to the people who hire them. Now, most people who write are freelancers. So you're going to be helping them get interesting stories that they can pitch to editors. That's why I suggest focusing on this strategy because it's so powerful. Here's another question. What does a joint venture partner want to know before we talk? Now, you may remember what I said earlier about knowing your numbers. This is important. Your potential joint venture partner is want to know how many clicks it will take to close a sale. Now, you won't be able to know this up front because it takes some experience doing it at first. Your joint venture partner will want to know what the conversion rate is from click to sale. And here again, this is something that's going to take some time for you to figure out. But you got to start. That's how you figure it out. You got to start first, and then you'll be able to answer questions like that. So here's another question. What type of product works best with joint ventures? That's an interesting question because there's almost no limit. I'll give you an example. I had a client who was in the carpet cleaning business, and he had a very nice business. He was growing nicely, but when we spoke, I said, do you do other things? He goes, no, we just clean carpets. I said, well, what would happen if you got together with someone who does window cleaning and both promoted to each other customer base? You're non-competitive and you're both in the cleaning business. And he said, well, my goodness, that's a great idea. He made $75,000 the first time he did it. And I'm saying here, be creative. Figure out what works best with a particular partner and look for partners that are obviously not your competitors, and they'll be happy to promote you because they can make money too. So the real answer is almost any type of partner works great as long as they're complementary and as long as they are equivalent in both size and value. Here's another question about joint ventures as well. It says, will joint venture partners want to use my list or just receive a commission? Now, there are some joint venture partners that don't like list sharing. In fact, many of them prefer just to pay affiliate commission. This is good and bad. What's bad about it is that if you have a list and you keep hitting that list over and over and over again with offers, you're going to wear the list out. People are going to unsubscribe, and people are not going to pay attention anymore. And eventually, if they report you as spam, you're going to lose email effectiveness. So it's never really a good idea to just do those type of promotions. It's better to do a mix of both. I try to do a mix of both, and I rarely rent out my list in the sense of letting my affiliates mail to my list or me mailing on behalf of them. A lot of what you're hearing is coming from my experience, having done this for decades. And I want you to develop that experience too. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you had a chance to learn today, and I really hope that you find value in what I presented to you today. So thank you for your time and attention. And don't forget, go to Profit Stacking Secrets, take a look at what we have, download the free giveaway, and if it's a fit for you, take the next step and get the entire system. Thank you for your time.